due to nature, others due to time, others due to fate, and still others say that it is due to desire. Report by ISKCON's founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. There are different types of philosophers: Vimamsakas, atheists, astronomers, sexualists, and so many other classifications of mental speculators. The real conclusion is that our work only real conclusion is that it is our work only that binds us within this material world to different varieties of life. How these varieties have sprung up is explained in the Vedas. It is due to the desire of the living entity. The living entity is not a dead stone. He has different varieties of desire, or kama. The Vedas say, kamo karshit. The living entities are originally hearts of the Lord, like sparks of a fire, but they have dropped to this material world, attracted by a desire to lord it over nature. That is a fact. Every living entity is trying to lord it over the material resources to the best of his ability. This kama, or desire, cannot be annihilated. There are some philosophers who say that if one gives up his desire, he again becomes liberated. But it is not at all possible to give up desire, for desire is a symptom of the living entity. If there were no desire, then the living entity would be a dead stone. Srila Narottam Das Thakur therefore advises that one turn his desire towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then desire becomes purified. And when one's desires are purified, one becomes liberated from all material contamination. The conclusion is that the different philosophers' theories to explain the varieties of life and their pleasures and pain are all imperfect. The real explanation is that we are eternal servants of God, that as soon as we forget this relationship, we are thrown into the material world where we create our different activities and suffer or enjoy the result. We are drawn into this material world by desire, but the same desire must be purified and employed in the devotional service of the Lord. Then our desire of wandering in the universe under different forms and conditions will end. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Akshurnidam Nyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Nyena Bhutale Svayam Rupagadam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vidham Dham Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Dehivam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Sarito Pangor Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarvasva Padam Bahujo Radha Madana Mohano Dibyad Brindaranya Kalpajumada Srimad Ratnagara Singha Sanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prastalabi Savyamano Smarahami Sriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsi Bhattatatastitaha Karshan Venus Fanar Gopir Gopinatha Sri Estuna Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kechit karma vedanti enam, svabhavam apare nirpa, eke kalam pare daivam, pumsa kamam utapare. The differentiation among varieties of life and their suffering and enjoyment is explained by some to be the result of karma. Others say it is due to nature, others due to time, others due to fate, and still others say that it is due to desire. In the beginning chapters of the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada writes in one purport, the Lord is not a shopkeeper pleasing customers in the mental speculation exchange business. I'll say it again. The Lord is not a shopkeeper pleasing customers in the mental speculation exchange. The Lord is what He is, and He demands surrender unto Him only. That's the very definition of mental speculation. Outside of reality. There's reality, there's truth, and then there's speculation. People who are journalists or reporters of the news, that's one of their catchphrases sometimes or often. They'll preface or suffix something, said, we heard this, but this might well be speculation. So what is that? Useless. One can only go forward in all spheres of life based on truth. Stock market speculation. It all comes under the heading of gambling. And here, to try to understand what is the meaning of life and what is going on, This, to speculate such, is the most dangerous type of speculation because, practically speaking, you're gambling your life. You're gambling away your soul. You can gamble and speculate on money and different types of temporary things, and perhaps or hopefully or some of the time or most of the time, you can recover from it, learn a lesson. But if you, what is it? What is that Christian saying? What profit a man if he gains the whole world but loseth the eternal soul? So Prabhupada sums it all up. There are different types of philosophers, Mimamakshas, atheists, astronomers, and always current, and perhaps even more pronounced these days, sexualists, and so many other classifications of mental speculators. The real conclusion is that it is our work only that binds us within this material world in different varieties of life. How these varieties have sprung up is an interesting use of words. You could say how these varieties have come about, but Prabhupada uses the word sprung up. The connotation is like, how would these weeds sprung up? And we go on the roof and we have a rooftop garden, and lo and behold, how did they get there? All of these like weeds and grass grow in the same pots that our cherished, desired fruit plants, flower trees we're trying to grow them for the pleasure of the deities, for the pleasure of Radha Govinda. How did they get there? They sprung up, unwanted. So there is actually really no need for the eternal soul, the eternal servant of the Lord, ultimately the pure devotee of the Lord, to exist in any one of the 8,400,000 species of life. Therefore, the word anartha, what does that mean? Unwanted. And how have they come about? How these varieties have sprung up is explained in the Vedas. It is due to the desire of the living entity. The living entity is not a dead stone. He has different varieties of desires, or kama, because he's part and parcel of Krishna. Prabhupada says very next, the Vedas say, kamo karsit. Living entities are originally parts of the Lord. All glories to this Sankirtan movement, which does what? Awakens all varieties of devotional service. Similarly, all varieties of desire to serve the Lord. The living entities are originally parts of the Lord, like sparks of a fire. And Prabhupada would champion the principle, which is so nice, to stop all mental speculation and actually leave the person who is promoting the false idea with something very sublime and powerful to contemplate. When the devotee presents the arguments or presents the siddhanta, the conclusion, a person who is not that, I'll use the word, demoniacally invested in their erroneous position, however they've acquired it or nurtured it or cultivated it for how much long of time, the pure devotee, the sadhu means to cut, cuts through it. Great example, our own Srila Prabhupada. I was defeated by my spiritual master. I'd never been defeated by 4, but I liked it. It wasn't a loss, it was an immense gain. The devotee of the Lord removes the useless desire and replaces it with the greatest of all desire. What do we say? What does Srila Narottam Das Thakur say? We're saying every day. By service to the feet of the spiritual master, all obstacles to devotion are removed, and the perfection of all desire is attained. Srila Prabhupada, 48 years ago, during this holy month of Kartik, actually by the Vaishnav calendar or lunar calendar that we follow, yesterday, Sarat Purnima, of course we can again observe it, on the 1st of November, 1982, Sri Sri Radha Govinda and their devotees moved into this building. 43 years. Now, it's very interesting. Srila Prabhupada wrote in his diary, Gaur Purnim Day, 1966, Srila Prabhupada was residing in his third-floor apartment at 100 West 72nd Street. And he wrote in his diary, today the devotees of Navadvip and Vrindavan, according to the Pankija, today is Gaur Purnim, and the devotees in Navadvip and Vrindavan are celebrating the function with great pomp and joyously. I am here in New York with no devotee companion. But I don't feel any inconvenience because I am engaged in the service of the Lord. And he goes on to say, I am prepared to go to hell for the service of the Lord. And arguably, or a reasonable presentation would be to say that going to New York is like going to hell. This is 1966. 6 years later, Sri Sri Radha Govinda come from the kingdom of Rajasthan, where the greatly pious and strong Rajput kings protected the deities of Vrindavan and the Vaishnavas from the attack of the Muslims in the 1600s. Sri Sri Radha Govinda. Govinda is the form of the Lord who was the chariot driver of of Arjuna on the battle of Kurukshetra, the functional deity. Radha Govinda are worshipped when one has understood that one is the servant of the Lord and one should engage in his service. He's received the mercy of Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan. His material desires have been subdued sufficiently to understand that he should engage in fulfillment of the desire of the supreme Cupid of all Cupids, Madan Mohan, and therefore Sri Govinda Dev is his worshipful master. And when did Radha Govinda come? On Gaur Purnim Day. So Prabhupada, not only in 1966, he's here alone without a devotee companion. Krishna hears, Krishna sees, Krishna understands. Krishna arranged that not only would he have so many devotee companions, his disciples, and so many people coming to understand about Krishna consciousness, but Krishna himself wanted to come to be Srila Prabhupada's companion. And not just in New York, but in so many cities all around the world, fulfilling during Prabhupada's lifetime or presence, time of presence on this planet, fulfilling the prediction of the astrologer at the time of his birth. This child at the age of 70 will cross the ocean, become a great exponent of religion, and open 108 temples. Is there a statistician present? How many temples are now present in ISKCON? That would include farms, different types of preaching centers. Everything? 875. So that's 8 times more. Percentage-wise, how much percentage increase is that from 108 to 875? Yeah. So all of us, I can definitely say for myself, before coming to Srila Prabhupada's society, I had no companion. They were all false friends and family members because they were all non-devotees. Who here felt alone without anyone to be their true companion and friend, someone who could really understand them before coming to KrishnaCon? Of course, there's only 6 people in the room, so we won't get a big hand raise. So just see the miracle. And what was Prabhupada's desire? He stated it 5 days before coming to Commonwealth Pier in the North Atlantic Ocean. It's actually very, very frightening to be on a tiny boat in the middle of the ocean with no land in sight, and the ocean, at any moment, there could be very strong storms, rocking, tilting up and down. Such an elevated prayer. I emphatically say to you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. Another name for this month of Damodar, we say Kartik, Kartika Devata. Srimati Radharani is the presiding deity, ultimately, of this month. We say Radha Krishna, Radha Govinda. Radha precedes Krishna. Krishna comes after. What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Of months I am Margashirsh. That's next month. So Srimati Radharani is the full reservoir of all varieties of devotional service pleasing to Krishna. All the devotees are under her authority. Lord Shiva in his Radha Kripa Kataksha Stavaraj, it's from the Urdhvamanaya Tantra. In one of the concluding verses, he says that she is the one and only authority who regulates our entrance into Sri Vrindavan Dham. So you will achieve your good fortune from the Supreme Lord only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. And from this opening statement, His Divine Grace immediately begins glorifying the powerful position of His beloved spiritual master. Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is very dear to Lord Gauranga, the son of Mother Sachi, is unparalleled in his service to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. He is that great, saintly, spiritual master who bestows intense devotion to Krishna at different places throughout the world. Prabhupada took no credit. He gave all credit to his spiritual master. And most certainly, during Prabhupada's presence, intense ecstasy was distributed all over the world. And those who were fortunate to be present at the time felt that incredible ecstasy of love of Godhead. There is a definition called pratibimba abhas, which is the reflected ecstasy from a pure devotee comes to you. Just like sometimes, we have these big buildings and the sun, like I'm on the northeast corner of the building, so there's no sunlight coming in, but when it's called the Paxton, it's like in the corner of Fulton Street, so we're looking at the back side of it. So when the southwesterly sun hits it, then the sun comes for maybe 20 minutes, reflecting strongly. Oh, I'm thinking, this is sunlight. But this is reflected sunlight. It gives an idea. But even more, the pure devotee can elevate us way beyond our qualification. What is that saying? The rising tide in the harbor raises all boats. And what to speak of during Prabhupada's presence thereafter. On Saturday, we'll observe on the 5th day of Kartik, the disappearance day of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Srila Narottam Das Thakur appeared the year that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed the planet. And it was predicted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord Nityananda, and other devotees who were concerned, what will happen to the prema that you are distributing after you leave? And he predicted, I will entrust it with one very great devotee. This is the principle and reality and glory of eternal parampara, transcending time, place, person, and circumstance. Devotees, they will pray that I pray to my predecessors, I pray to my contemporaries, and I pray to all those devotees who have yet to appear to give me their mercy. He bestows intense devotion to Krishna at different places throughout the world. By his strong, desire. And what is his strong desire? The holy name of Lord Gauranga will spread throughout all the countries of the Western world. In all the cities, towns, and villages on the earth, from all the oceans, seas, rivers, and streams, everyone will chant the holy name of Krishna. So this is Prabhupada's Society of Devotees. Prabhupada has said very clearly that this ISKCON movement has been established to fulfill the desire of Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. In whatever capacity, Prabhupada gave the framework. Siddhanta Prabhu is doing something very wonderful. He's interviewing senior devotees who had letter exchanges with Srila Prabhupada, and he just released Harikesh Prabhu, who was one of the first devotees to go to Eastern Europe, what at the time, Belgrade, Yugoslavia, Poland. This was in the communist bloc. And how he had to be very, very careful. Did you heard it, Hadaipan? You listened to it? Had to be very, very careful. And Prabhupada wrote back, this is approved by me. And devotees like Harikesh and, of course, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, who was known at the time as Ganesham, received great mercy from Srila Prabhupada in his last days when this was happening by going into these very dangerous and forbidden places. We just see what happened with His Holiness Indradyumna Swami. A coming to a kirtan festival in Russia, and he was detained and charged with, foreigners. What was the law that they had? The foreigner cannot preach religion in Russia. And of course, it's terrible. But luckily, he wasn't, like the original Soviet devotees before the fall of the Soviet socialist republics. They were imprisoned, they were tortured, they were terrible things. So, $300 fine and 5-year ban from Russia. You can talk to devotees from time, and they were the optimism, the revolutionary spirit, the enthusiasm to make this happen was so great, was so universally cooperative amongst everyone. And I was thinking even that we'll be able to take over New York City within a year. And the rest of the country might take a little longer, maybe a year or two longer. Of course, what is it? What is a good word to call that? Not foolish or idealistic. It's something like that. But actually, such thinking, even maybe uninformed, whatever, I can't think of the right word, you must think like that throughout all of your life. One must keep up one's enthusiasm. Just like Prabhupada's on the boat. He's got no money. He has no backing. He just suffered 2 heart attacks. He doesn't know what's going to happen. But look how his faith is so strong. As the vast mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu conquers all directions, a flood of transcendental ecstasy will certainly cover the land. There's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, when a flood of love, sometimes there's a great flood during the rainy season in Mayapur. This indicates that the flood of love of Godhead from Lord Chaitanya's birthplace is meant to inundate the entire world. And what does that flood of love of Godhead do to the sinful desire seeds, the desires for material enjoyment and speculation, separate from the pleasure of the Lord? When all the sinful, miserable living entities become happy, the Vaishnav's desire is then fulfilled. Although my Guru Maharaj ordered me to accomplish this mission, and Prabhupada just a month or 6 weeks earlier had been to the place of Advaitacharya and Shantipur and was begging, crying to Advaitacharya and Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, who they performed many pastimes, said, my spiritual master has given me this impossible mission. The same mission that was spoken to him when he was 25 years old. Some 43 years earlier, 1922 to 1965. It had not been a chance offhand remark, but it was like a fiery dart, fiery arrow of love on the platform of eternality, knowledge, and complete ecstatic bliss. That is the order of the spiritual master. It has nothing to do with perception of this world. I like this, I don't like this, this is an inconvenience, I'm going to avoid this, I'm leaving, No, nothing like that at all. Completely that is the test of devotional service. I am not worthy or fit to do it. I am very fallen and insignificant. Therefore, O Lord, now I am begging for your mercy, so that I may become worthy, for you are the wisest and most experienced of all. So as I was saying, in this month of Kartik, Prabhupada was rendering the last chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam before his departure, which was the 13th chapter, entitled Brahma, the bewildering, where is it? Brahma steals the boys and calves. And this is the epic, very beautiful, powerful, magnificent text number 50. Chandrika Vishada Smerai Saruna Panga Vikshitai Svakatartam Iva Raja Satvabhayam Shastrer Palaka. Those Vishnu forms, this is when Krishna recreated as himself all the so-called stolen calves and cowherd boys. He completely impersonated them, became them. Imagine that Krishna becomes Arjuna Nanda, Adai Pran, Ram Roy, Gopal Pran, all of you. Huh? Completely assume your identity, your mannerisms, your proclivities, your idiosyncrasies, everything. But you're Krishna. Only Balaram became, he could be, what is this? He noticed he had to go to Krishna to get the explanation. So then Lord Brahma comes, wait, I took the calves and I put them over here, and now they're over here again. What is this? Then they all transform into four-armed Vishnu forms. It completely blew Lord Brahma's mind. Those Vishnu forms, by their pure smiling, which resembled the increasing light of the moon, by the sidelong glances of their reddish eyes, created and protected the desires of their own devotees as if by the modes of passion and goodness. In the third canto we were reading previously in the class that we meditate on the smiling and the charming eyebrows of the Lord. They protect the devotees from Cupid, from lust. So when we see Prabhupada has so much recommended the deity worship and seeing the form of the Lord. And when someone would write or reveal to Srila Prabhupada that they were having trouble with lusty desires, he said, if you worship the deity, take darshan of the deity, this will take care of Mr. Lust. Those Vishnu forms blessed the devotees with their clear glances and smiled, which resembled the increasing full light of the moon. In the verses, Chandrika Vishada Svarai, by pure smiling like the full increasing moonlight. But now Prabhupada, he doesn't repeat those Sanskrit words exactly. Check out what he says. Shreya Karaiva Chandrika Vitaranam. The ever-increasing white lotus of good fortune. That is why Harinam, Sankirtan, Nam Rup Avatar should be always present. The mode of goodness means to maintain. Maintenance means increase. Automatically. What did Prabhupada say to Harikesh Prabhu? He said we're being, very clandestine, but they like chanting. So he had some devotees, they were good with music, they had a syncopated beat, people would dance. And he said, so you don't have to introduce the philosophy, because the philosophy could, directly, he was kind of like circular, he was kind of brought them to the shore of personalism, but then came back, people in general, this is all right. But then when he had to speak with, in the college with the professors, then they became a little more probing, and had to be even more careful. Someone who's coming and is your friend, rat you out, perhaps it was a thing you'll get some money from the government if you rat out a dissident. That's part of the communist program. So Prabhupada said, don't worry, you keep it like that. The chanting will resolve everything. So Prabhupada is quoting here Lord Chaitanya, Shishastakam 1, Shreya Karaiva Chandrika Vitaranam. Functionally, we look where so many people come by, everyone becomes purified. Even in people come into the proximity in a place where the Harinam was, they get purified. What to speak of coming into the place where the Harinam is? We're diminishing their sinful reactions, which is the huge boulder and weight holding everyone individually and the whole society collectively down, not allowing them to go forward to anything of value, but actually going headlong the opposite direction. So the devotees are standing between them and certain death. Save and except for the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, who are the saviors of anyone on this planet? No one. What a great responsibility we have. As maintainers, they glanced upon their devotees, embracing them and protecting them by smiling. Their smiles resembled the mode of goodness, protecting all the desires of the devotees. Prabhupada was ordered, you preach in the West. You preach in the English language, and very wonderful, which means preach to everyone. You should push our movement among those not conversant with the language of the already established members. That means everybody else, besides Bengali speakers, Hindi speakers, Aryan speakers. We went down to Chennai. What do they speak down now? Telugu? Huh? Tamil. Right. This will do good to you and for those who will help you. Actually, in this verse, the word Raja means not passion, but affection. In the material world, Rajagun is passion, but in the spiritual world, it is affection. In the material world, affection is contaminated by Rajagun and Tamagun, but in Shuddha Sattva, the affection that maintains the devotees is transcendental. So, in 1970, on the circumstance was some blasphemy and minimization from Prabhupada's godbrothers had seeped into the movement from devotees who were sent to India, to preach there and also to, dodge the draft in Vietnam at the time. Filtered back to some of their friends or acquaintances, and that kind of, anyway, so long story short, so Prabhupada made a desire, now I'm going to go back to India. And even he revealed that Krishna had the desire for him to do that also, the deity of Rukmini Dwarkadish in Los Angeles. And Prabhupada was protesting, I've established, India is for my godbrothers, but the Western world is the place given to me by my spiritual master. And I have this nice temple, 3764 Watsika Avenue, Culver City, Los Angeles, California. I want to develop it. All right. Brahmananda tells the story. But if you go to India, I'll give you a temple 100 times better than this Watsika. And that ultimately became the Krishna Balaram Mandir, which we will see as this verse concludes, Prabhupada affirms. So Prabhupada's desire to serve Krishna went even further. The words Fakartanam refers to great desires. As mentioned in this verse, the glance of Lord Vishnu creates the desires of the devotees. A pure devotee, however, has no desires. Therefore, Sanatana Goswami comments that because the desires of devotees whose attention is fixed on Krishna have already been fulfilled, the Lord's sidelong glances create variegated desires in relation to Krishna and devotional service. In the material world, there is a product of Rajagun and Tamagun, but desire in the spiritual world gives rise to a variety of everlasting transcendental service. Srimati Radharani is known to never cook the same preparation twice. Wow. How to even understand that? Thus, the word Svakartanam refers to eagerness to serve Krishna. In Vrindavan, there is a place where there was no temple, but a devotee desired, let there be a temple and seva, devotional service. Therefore, what was once an empty corner has now become a great place of pilgrimage. Such are the desires of a devotee. So similarly, we could say that this 305 and 295 Skimmerhorn Street was once an empty corner. It definitely was something like that 43 years ago. But by the desire of Krishna, Radha Govinda, and Srila Prabhupada, we are using our desire to develop this yatra, this property, into something very grand, glorious, and magnificent. For the pleasure of Sri Sri Radha Govinda, and for the purpose of spreading their love and glories all over this city, region, and the entire world. Hare Krishna. Kechit karma vadanti enam svabhavam apare nirpa eke kalam pare daivam pumsa kamam utapare. The differentiation among varieties of life and their suffering and enjoyment is explained by some to be the result of karma. Others say it is due to nature, others due to time, others due to fate, and still others say that it is due to desire. His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? One, two, three, four. Saved by the bell.
I have a comment.
You came all the way from the kitchen to ask your question?
No, more like a comment, because I was making khichdi. No.
I'm praising you for your, what do you say, putting in the effort to come here to, okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to appreciate how you were talking about that the whole idea, like mental speculators, the whole premises, like most mental speculators, including me included, they think that have no desire is the highest. Uh-huh. And I remember reflecting back in my past, like learning about Buddhist philosophy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, so if I don't have no desire, that's perfect. Mind you, like in college student, having no desires, none of that. So I just wanted to reflect on that I circumambulated my desires for...
Not really. You were speaking kind of quick, and then the hearing, it was kind of... What's the question?
No, it was not a question. That was just a reflection.
Huh?
It was just a reflection.
Reflection.
Yeah.
Just recently I was speaking with a couple of people, and they said, yeah, Buddhist philosophy, and they were very impressed with the presentation of pure personalism. We should always know what we're representing and be very transcendently proud of it, to, like protecting our family members from anybody harming them. So, and we know that Buddhism was preached by Krishna, arranged it because the so-called Brahmins were using the Vedas to substantiate meat eating. So Lord Buddha appeared and preached this atheistic philosophy, attracted people and said, the Vedas are wrong, follow me. So it stopped the meat eating. But then ultimately, it was arranged that Buddhism was more or less driven out of India. There's still some places, Gaya in Bihar, that was where Buddha appeared, but it's mostly been driven out of India. And Prabhupada would say it was a adjustment or temporary emergency that this had to be done, but it's not for perpetual use. Anyone else? Thank you very much.